It's one of the most indelible bits now in late night history.
Do you mind if we listen to some music?
Oh, I'd love to.
Should we see what's on the
What's on the radio?
When we were developing the show, we were really looking for something that would be exciting and different and really like just grab the bull by its horns.
We knew that we needed like some bits, tent poles in a way that you could hang the show on. Jay Leno had jaywalking, Letterman had stupid pet tricks and top 10 lists. Kimmel had mean tweets, Fallon had lip sync battles and thank you notes, and we were like, what is our thing?
We were very aware that no one knew who James Corden was. And we realised that if we were waiting for people to come to us, they never would. We had to go to them.
We were just showing the writers some different things that I'd done at home, and Ben and I had done a couple of sketches that were quite successful for comic relief.
He had this character Smithy that he played on a sitcom that he wrote called Gavin and Stacey.
Hello? Hi, is that Smithy? Who this?
And he'd got in a car with George Michael, and George Michael at the time had just come out of jail.
Comic relief, they need me to go in now.
So we had this really funny idea that bizarrely George Michael agreed to, that James would pick George Michael up from jail and drive him to his meeting.
Can I come to comic relief then?
And James had put on a Wham song and they'd sung it together.
I'm your man. I love it!
It really, really resonated with people. We started to think, well, hold on a sec, maybe, because we can't get people to come to us, maybe we go to them and maybe they drive around and they listen to their music and they sing along.
Can I put the radio on?
Yeah, please.
Yeah?
And I had just so happened that I had watched Curb Your Enthusiasm the night before, where Larry picks up a hooker on his way to baseball so that he can go in the carpool lane to get there quicker.
Get in the car.
Ben said, what if you were driving the biggest stars in the world and you need them to help you get to work to beat the traffic? And I said,
And James went,
And he goes,
Carpool
Carpool Karaoke. Thank you. And he walked out and slammed the door.
I just left. I went home. I was like, we got it.
So we had this firecracker of an idea, which allowed us to go and get people to be on the show and hear their hits and have a great chat with them. Well, then we couldn't book a soul for it.
Carpool Karaoke was a hard concept to get across to people. You want me to sit in a car and then sing along to my own songs while driving with a guy that I don't really know anything about on a show that hasn't been on television yet. So we spent 2 months before the show came out pitching everybody Carpool Karaoke, and everybody said no.
Think of anybody you like in the whole world in music. If they're alive, they said no.
I had some friends at Epic, and they asked if one of their newer artists could come and do a showcase for us.
We had employed more and more people, and so we decided to have a pizza night out on the balcony.
Laura Swanson was there, and she was the head of Epic Publicity at that time, and was really close with Mariah Carey, and James pitched her the idea.
I took her into my office and I played her, me and George Michael singing in the car. And I said, this segment will be brilliant with Mariah Carey.
And she said, well, Mariah Carey does love George Michael, so if I could show her the George Michael clip, then maybe she'd do it because she's got a greatest hits album coming out.
Laura said, all right, let me call Mariah. And I think she called her right then. And she said yes.
In that moment, it changed the trajectory of the entire show, no question.
Well, I know she said yes to it without fully understanding what it was, because when James got in the car with her, she didn't want to sing.
I'm not singing today. I was up all night.
And it's so funny because she didn't even really know what the bit was. Her publicist has just said, go on, you should do this, it'd be great.
I remember thinking, no one's told Mariah Carey what this is. Because I can remember you got in the car and said, I'm not singing today. And I was like,
Well, because,
that is a big part of it.
Got it.
I just kept trying to wear her down with a sort of youthful exuberance.
Now I know your act.
I mean, it's a new car, so I don't know how to change the radio station, but we can...
We got such a chill, great version of Mariah. It wasn't like destined to go viral, you know, she just was having some fun.
What do you remember about that day?
I remember having fun with you in the car.
Once she was in the car and those hits play and she's singing along to them, there's something sort of irresistible and joyful about it. And that's James Corden's ability to extract the best of people when they're sitting together in that car.
You have to remember, we are a show that no one knows who we are. And within 4 days, that Mariah Carey clip had 14 million hits. And 14 million hits for a brand new show like ours is sensational. And suddenly we were like, oh, we could be onto something here.
And immediately became clear why it was special. You never get to hear your favorite artists singing their big hit songs. And it was just so relatable because we all sing Mariah Carey in our cars. And so to see Mariah singing her own songs in the car was just like immediately incredible.
I don't think any of us would have been here if you hadn't said yes to Carpool Karaoke before this show was aired.
We obviously are like forever grateful and loyal to Mariah for doing this.
Carpool Karaoke might sound like a bit of a harrowing thing for your brand new hosts to do. Driving around LA of all places and driving around incredibly famous people all around town, not really knowing where they're going. That seems crazy.
That was a good deed. That's cool.
And it was very difficult for people to kind of wrap their head around it. But once people saw what it was, people were clamoring to do it.
The sooner you realise that you're Adele.
The reason why it really took off was because suddenly you were away from cameras, you were away from publicists, you were away from managers, makeup artists, security, you were away from everybody. It was just James and that person in a car, isolated. So we would be getting these unbelievable interviews with these megastars that you'd never usually see being as relaxed and easygoing as that, but also singing a minute of all their greatest hits.
What was the couple that surprised you most? Because there's been some bloody brilliant ones and a few ones, obviously. But
Stevie Wonder changed it a lot because I think when he did it,
Yeah.
other artists were like,
icons, legends.
well, if
as
Stevie
well.
Wonder's done it, I'll do it,
Okay.
you know?
Are you sure you're okay to drive? Because this is making me feel a bit uneasy. My hands are on.
Roll your hands.
When Stevie Wonder did Carpool, Stevie Wonder's greatest hits suddenly was in the top 10 on iTunes. And it hadn't been on a chart in decades. Then I think that was an eye-opener for the industry itself to say like, oh, this is a way that we can really showcase our artists.
You don't think there's any of your music in this car?
I'm just saying.
Well, then you don't
I
know
ain't
me
heard
at all.
nothing.
You don't know me at all.
And suddenly we had a bit that was a behemoth, and it became bigger than, well, any bit in the history of late night.
And then we got Justin Bieber. That was the other big one.
I came as soon as I could.
You are a lifesaver.
Is one of our only ones that I've done multiple carpools with. And so we've had the privilege of seeing different moments of him during his career.
Do you see what we're doing right now?
I know.
Do you see what we're doing right now?
James really brought out this side of him you had never seen before. You definitely had never seen Justin Bieber like doing a Rubik's Cube. And it's so exciting for a fan to see their favorite artist singing their favorite songs.
I love you!
The pinnacle moment was Adele.
Hello.
Oh, thanks for this.
The biggest artist in the world at that moment. She obviously had this amazing relationship with James.
I can't work out if I should wear a wig or have a weave.
I mean, what I like is that you're coming to me for this advice.
And it was really interesting, the ratings that we were getting on it, 65, 70 million. They were more than the Grammys, SNL, more viewers than anything.
Our one, because it broke all of those records,
Yeah.
I think seeing how many people watch that made artists like Bruno and
Right,
Gaga
okay.
and people like that go, oh, hang on a minute, yeah,
And it's also a
absolutely,
laugh.
I'll do this.
And I think the other big highlight was being requested by the White House to fly to Washington and do one with Michelle Obama.
I hear you're here for a 145 tour and got a little time on my hands, so you wanna go for a spin?
They had a charity they wanted to promote. We were like, this is unbelievable. Is she really gonna do this?
It was just an incredible feat that this all came together. I think we like didn't tell James about it until like that week because we were like, there's no way this is gonna happen. We would kind of joke like, yeah, right. Like when we're in Washington next week, like we were going through the motions that none of us really believed that it was really gonna happen.
Fast forward, you're flying overnight with your best mate James to go into the White House. God, I remember like FaceTiming my mum from there, just going, I can't believe I'm in the White House, and Michelle Obama's about to sing in a car.
A highlight in all of our lives. Like it's just such a special moment for all of us.
This was a joy, and I hope you liked the tour.
God, if anyone told me that like Carpool Karaoke would like be the significant in my life.
Yes, it is a thing that people say to me, you know, like, oh, we're singing in the car, you know, like when I went to the DMV to get my license, which I didn't have for the first 2 years. Even the guy doing like my test was like, are we singing a song? And I was like, I'll sing whatever you want if you just sign this and not tell anyone I haven't had this for 2 years.
But it had a huge impact on the music industry, on our show, on James's career, on all of us really. It has 6 seasons of a spin-off show of it. It has probably over 1 billion views in itself.
It's lovely to see the impact they have online because like for Paul McCartney, it was so wild to watch in the moments.
Oh, thank you so much for this.
The Paul McCartney Carpool, which I felt was special on the day that we shot it. I felt that we might have captured something good.
It was also incredible that Paul hadn't been back to Liverpool. For our cameras and for James to get to experience that with Paul, like for the first time was just such an incredible thing to capture.
You said this is going to be a trip. I must say, you're right.
So it's such a special carpool because he goes beyond a carpool. Like, again, it's like a piece of history.
I had a dream in the 60s where my mum, who died, came to me in the dream and was reassuring me, saying, it's going to be okay. Just let it be.
That's the most beautiful story I've ever heard. I think we made something that was bigger than the show. It was the culmination of what that bit could achieve. I can remember my granddad, who's a musician, and my dad sitting me down and saying, we're going to play you the best song you've ever heard. And I remember them playing me that.
Really?
If my granddad was here right now, he'd get an absolute kick out of this.
He is.
We were all cheering up in the follow van, like as James talked about his grandfather, and you know, we're in Paul's house.
The acoustic chamber.
Everything sounds better in the bar.
I think it's pretty close to perfect.
Yeah, we could never have expected it to be what it was. And we still love making them. You know, we still love making them. And I hope maybe we can continue making them even after this show's done. I don't know.
Last ever carpool with the gang. Glenn, our director. Tommy Jarve, editor. Jason, Seamount cameras. Lauren, producer, head writer. Last ever carpool. There's the car. There's the car. There's the car. And this is what we are looking at. We're gonna miss it, gang. We're gonna miss it. We're gonna miss it. Waving goodbye.